Hey people, welcome back to UK Highland Photography. I'm Strober and today we're going to be talking about some of the additional kit it is that you're more than likely going to find a nightclub photographer working with. Now in video 1 we learned that if you want to make money from nightclub photography then you simply could just buy a compact camera. This is because people don't care about what cameras is used to photograph them in nightclubs. All people want, all clubbers want, is to take away a nice memory of them and their friends when they're out partying in a club. That's it, they don't care about the cameras. So in video 1 we learned for nightclub photography we can use a compact camera, we can use a bridge camera and we can use a DSLR camera. It really doesn't matter. Now chances are though, the reality is that you're going to be using a DSLR camera. I would say 9 out of 10 photographers are going to be using a DSLR camera when it comes to working in nightclubs. So what other kit are you likely to find with the nightclub photographer? The answer being a TTL Speedlight. Now there's 3 good reasons why I can think of why a nightclub photographer would want to carry a TTL Speedlight. The first reason being that it has its own battery supply. So as you can see here it takes AA batteries, and what this does is that it means that the flash is now totally independent from the DSLR. So for example, if I pop this, you can see that we have a pop-up flash on the DSLR. With the TTL Speedlight, the DSLR no longer has to provide power to the pop-up flash, which means that it can save on energy or power because the TTL Speedlight has its own power supply. So there's the first benefit of a TTL Speedlight. The second benefit of a good branded TTL Speedlight is this. As you can see, let's see this, okay, bear with me guys. We're currently on the DSLR mode there. So let me change this. Okay, there we go. So have a look at this guys. Now as you can see, this is the autofocus illumination lamp coming from the Speedlight itself. And that is very, very powerful. You could be in the darkest of rooms, but when you press that button and this beam comes on from the TTL Speedlight, then that's going to illuminate your subject and let your camera see your subject in order to photograph your subject. Now again, I emphasize this, only good branded TTL Speedlights offer that feature. The cheaper models offer that feature, but unfortunately the autofocus lamps on them cheaper models ain't really that powerful. So there's the second reason. Now the third reason I would say is because you can adjust the zoom heads on TTL Speedlights. So for example, I'm currently on 24mm, so that means when I fire my flash I'm going to have a wide distribution of light coming from the actual Speedlight itself. Now if I zoom the head in, now I'm currently on 85mm, that means now I'm going to shoot my flash more narrow and at a further distance. So that can help the photographer if you want to be creative. I mean, I can give you an example now. Let's say, for example, I photographed a large group of people, but let's say I was on 24mm on my flash. That flash may not be able to get to that distance in order to illuminate my group of people, and that's why I would zoom my flash in to, let's say, about 50mm, as 50mm may just reach the target and illuminate them people and scatter light over them people in order to illuminate them in my final photograph. So that is the benefit of the TTL Speedlight. Another benefit is that we can rotate its head. Now I have done this, I've actually bounced, if I'm in the nightclub and if the roof is actually quite low, then I will actually bounce the flash off the roof of the nightclub. And that's actually quite cool because you get like cinematic looking effects. So there you go guys, the TTL Speedlight is a must for a nightclub photographer. Let's move on to the next bit of kit, which is this. Yep, some of you already know it's a TTL card. For those of you that don't know what the TTL card is, then a TTL card allows you to take your camera, allows you to take your flash off camera. So now we have this setup, and let me explain something to you guys. Let me give you a working example of when you do need to use a TTL card. So in a nutshell, with your Speedlight, we normally work like this. Okay, so that's a setup. We have the Speedlight on top of a DSLR, and this at times, like 8 out of 10 times, works very well. Look, we can bounce off the ceiling and stuff like that, bounce the flash off the ceiling. But the reality is sometimes we need to take our flash off camera. Now have a look at this photograph here. As you can see, one of my subjects is of a darker skin colour than the other two subjects, and because she's already stood in the shadows, it doesn't help because the photograph doesn't really look that pretty, right? We all agree the photograph doesn't look pretty. So I said to these three girls, look, please give me a second, and what I did was I took my flash off the camera and I installed the flash onto a TTL card, and then I installed the TTL card onto my DSLR like so. And then what I done was I moved my flash closer to the subject which needed illuminating, which would have been the darker skinned female, and then I took the photograph again. And as you can see now, the photograph looks a lot more pretty and a lot more glamorous. This is because I've taken the flash closer to my subject and I've now illuminated her from the shadows. I would not have done this because if I would have held the Speedlight to this side, then that would have meant I would have been adding more extra light onto a subject who never needs it to be illuminated more in the first place, which is why I went to this side, because it was this side that needed illuminating from my actual Speedlight. So as you can see, there's a good working example of where you will need a Speedlight for nightclub photography. So here's a negative of working with the TTL Speedlight. As you can see with this setup, I have my auto focus illumination lamp working on a Speedlight. But that's not really a good thing in this example, because let's say I've got my subject stood in front of me, okay? And then I go to use my flash like this, so my flash is coming down in this angle, but my photograph is being taken at this angle. So what I need is I need my auto focus illumination lamp to be coming from here. I don't want it to be coming from here. So can you see the problem, guys? You can see the problem quite clearly. So what I have to do now, because you can see the autofocus illumination coming from here, I've now got to tell my Speedlight, don't do that. And now I've got to go into my menu system, okay? And then I've got to say, don't do that. So now it's switched off, and now you will see that we will actually get autofocus illumination coming from the DSLR. So let's look. You see that? We no longer have it coming from here, and instead we have it coming from the DSLR. So that is definitely one of the disadvantages with regards to working with the TTL card. The next disadvantage with regards to working with the TTL card is the simple fact that they can get wrapped around your kit. So at the most inconvenient times, you go take a photo and you can't move because it's all been wrapped and tangled around your kit. So there's another negative of working with the TTL card. Now let's move on to straps, harnesses, or quick draw straps, right? This is what I think. Currently, you can see I am wearing the harness. Now, the harness is superb. Watch this. Can you take a photograph of me, please? No problems, let's go, right? You can see that, guys. I'm up. I need to take a photograph, I'm up. I need to disconnect it because I want to shoot from a different angle. There we go, the camera's now disconnected. I've just made a seal and now I need to handle money. So I get my harness again, I connect it to there, and there we go, I can now start cash handling. So you can see how great the harness is. When you're working in nightclubs, don't use neck straps. Oh my god, neck straps are just so annoying. Apart from just being here in front of you all the time, then you pick them up and the strap gets in your way when you try and take a portrait, something like that. Just forget about neck straps. Invest in either a harness or a quick draw strap. Now, I myself do have a quick draw strap, but I don't like working with the quick draw strap in nightclubs. And this is the reason. On the quick draw strap, we have the padded pouch up here. What tends to happen is the padded pouch slips down the back. And that means I just end up with a thin strap here. So I've got pockets. I have a pocket on the pouch up here, which I can put my memory cards in, but it falls down the back. So I find that I'm always fidgeting, probably like a girl with a bra strap. You know, I'm always trying to fix it and put it back into position. However, with a harness, I don't get this. So I find if you do a nightclub photography, then a harness is absolutely ideal because it doesn't move, it just stays put. And you know, it offers the photographer everything it is that they actually need when they're working in the club. Right, we're going to come on to the last bit of equipment that a nightclub photographer work with, and that is going to be printers. So printers come in two forms. You get an inkjet printer and you get a sub-die printer. Now, inkjet printers work with ink cartridges, and sub-die printers, they work with their own special media die packs. Okay, so a sub-die printer is more expensive than an inkjet printer, and a sub-die printer, a sub-die's printers print will last for a longer period of time than an inkjet printer's print. Now, if you're starting on your own, so basically if you're not working for another company and you're starting out on your own in a nightclub, then you're going to have to decide what kind of printer it is that you invest in. Remember, inkjets are good to start off with, but if you're going like long term and you want to offer your customers better value for money and all that stuff, then you're possibly going to have to be looking at going down the route of the sub-dies. Remember, inkjet, excuse me, let me clear my throat. Inkjet printers take photo paper of all different sizes. However, sub-die printers don't. Sub-die printers will only take paper sizes that the manufacturer has made for that particular model of sub-die printer. Right guys, so basically there's a little basic introduction into some of the additional kit it is that nightclub photographers do work with. Remember to subscribe to the channel And when you get the time, check out the online shop over at www.ukhighland.com. Remember, I'm Strober, and I'll catch you guys all later, and thanks for watching the video.